regression model with indicator variables or with more than one variable, namely multiple linear regression, the command that you use in Stata is actually exactly the same. Again, you would just go Statistics, Linear Models and Related, and choose Linear Regression. So suppose now we wanted to regress our outcome systolic blood pressure at exam 2 on the sex of the patient. So the variable in this case would be the indicator variable called sex1. When we fit the variable with the indicator term as our predictor, we actually end up getting the exact same regression output as we saw when we had a continuous predictor. It's simply the interpretation of the regression parameters that changes. In this data set, males are coded as 1 and females are coded as 0. So as we saw in the notes, with this parameterization, it turns out that the constant term in the regression model represents the average systolic blood pressure at exam 2 for females. To get the average systolic blood pressure at exam 2 for males, we would take the constant term, and since males are coded as 1, we would add to it what we previously called the slope parameter. Therefore, the average systolic blood pressure for males at exam 2 would be the constant term, 137.0, minus 2.71, that slope term. So the average systolic blood pressure for males would be something like 134.3. To fit a multiple linear regression model, we again just go to the linear regression window in Stata, and we could just add more independent variables to the independent variables box. So we could now include sex1 and systolic blood pressure at exam 1. And now you can see the only thing that changes in your regression output is that you have an additional regression parameter for which you receive Stata output. And remember that the interpretation of regression parameters when you include more than one parameter in the model changes. Specifically, the interpretation of the slope coefficient for systolic blood pressure at exam 1, it now represents the average change in systolic blood pressure at exam 2 for a 1-unit increase in systolic blood pressure at baseline, conditional on gender. So it's super important to make sure you specify that you are conditioning on gender.